what we're looking to do is to better understand the challenges around UK-China games industry working. We know that there's a number of barriers that we've identified both prior to the project and during the project that block UK game developers, Chinese developers, UK publishers and Chinese publishers from working together. Issues around market access, issues around licensing and technologies and co-production. And through our project, we've been looking to, address those through our investigations, clarify the nature of those challenges, and start to signpost ways that we might move forward and work more collaboratively. The major outcome of our project is going to be our Pathway to Impact.
The Pathway to Impact report is a fully comprehensive digital report that's going to be printed as well, but it will be an interactive document and that will be for industry professionals in the gaming industry to get insight into how to collaborate and work in China and the opportunities that are there and the challenges as well that are faced, ranging from regulations. That seemed to be a lot of doubt for people in the West of what are the regulations? How do I find them? Do they stay the same? Are they fixed?
There are actually quite significant regulations that have to be undertaken in terms of not just the communication, but also the content that's allowed to be within a game. There's also regulations in terms of how long children are allowed to play a video game, and developers are responsible for policing that or maintaining that to ensure that children aren't exposed to video games for longer than they're allowed each day. China also has regulations which are quite different to the West in that there's no pseudonyms or sort of hiding behind a user handle. You have to have a sort of registered account with your own name. There's not the same level of anonymity that you would have here in the West.
And then we've got markets as well. That was another theme that came out. Business with all the methodologies and production tools that go into that. And research and development, and localization was a huge one, in that it's not just an afterthought, it has to be right at the concept stage.
So it is very important to make sure that games are localized linguistically, culturally and legally into a certain market, because many games are even banned because it was not done properly. It is common to use a pivot language or text. In-game localization is more cost-effective and probably also better for multimodal cohesion. But it's recommended not to mix direct and indirect translation, particularly if a game audio is in one language, and it's better to match the game audio with the corresponding subtitles.
If a Western developer wants to publish a video game in China, they have to partner with a Chinese organization. And the Chinese organization has to get a license from the government to be able to publish a video game. So it's really kind of important actually that co-development and co-production does occur.
If you can, get consultants on board, get people who have done the research on board to help you through the process. Even better is if you can get someone in from the very start, someone who is Chinese or has lived in China, that can really influence you in your design, in the concept phase, so that you have a solid foundation.
What we tried to do with this project, working with our partners, Pocket Size Hands, was to embed cultural development in throughout the process. So we designed throughout thinking about what appeals to Chinese audiences and what appeals to UK and Western audiences, so that the only thing that we would have to change between the two versions of the game would be the language.
This was our first jump into IP, and that's something that's really exciting to us as a studio, to be able to put our own creative stamp on something that's designed and developed by the team here. It's helped us learn how to manage our processes better when it comes to working on an original IP, not only pitching to publishers in the Western market, but also publishers within the Chinese market, and getting feedback from them that was valuable and getting publishers excited about what we were working on, showed that we were on the right track, and showed that some of the research that we'd put into the project and the work that we'd been doing with Abertay had really paid off.
No, don't prejudge, don't assume that you understand what a market or culture is. Seek out partners, do your research, do user research, test your games with your your intended target audience.
The number one thing that I've learned is that the cultural differences doesn't mean that there aren't the same problems. It just means that there's different kinds of problems, and you have to come up with innovative solutions to those problems. And it's actually more about working collaboratively together to solve those problems than it is about finding out exactly what the problems are.
But for me, understanding games as a creative process, as an artistic process, understanding that games take place and games development take place rather within a culture, it's been really interesting to see what happens when you bring UK-based game developers and Chinese developers together, and seeing what happens when you have different national understandings about what games are, how games are made, what's interesting, you know, what they think the market would like, what they think are the kind of aesthetic properties of games, and also how they work together to solve problems around, for instance, how do you make a game that was both receptive to the UK market and the Chinese market? Having a transnational team is a really big benefit. So for me, that's kind of personal highlight. It's the kind of thing I would love to see more of taking place within the games industry.